The Golden State Warriors are now one win away from the NBA Finals after defeating Luka Doncic and the Dallas Mavericks in Game 3, practically solidifying their spot in the team's 6th Finals appearance in their last 8 seasons. No team has ever lost a series after going up 3-0, and this Warriors roster is not going to be the first team to do so, as they still have so much left in the tank to show the world the beginning of another potential Golden State Warriors dynasty with all of the firepower that they have. This is easily the most unique team in the NBA, as it's clearly one of the best teams as they're about to make it to the NBA Finals, but it's also an incredible mix of players that are both old and new, all talented enough to play out of their minds and win you some playoff games. And we've seen just this all playoffs, as so many guys with smaller roles have completely stepped up and are all huge reasons as to why this team has had so much success. Outside of the team's regular stars, with guys like Poole, Looney, and Wiggins each contributing largely in their own ways all playoffs long, it's extremely safe to say that this team would not be in the spot that they're in right now without those guys. And starting with Andrew Wiggins, he has been the unsung hero of this group this season, as in last night's game, he threw down a vicious tomahawk slam on Luka, who was trying to contest him. And outside of that incredible highlight that will live on for a very long time, he's been putting up his best playoff series of his career, and all of his teammates have given him nothing but praise, with guys like Klay emphasizing the fact that if they want to win it all, Wiggins is going to play a large role in that, and he's going to need to continue to play at this exact level. In his first conference finals, Wiggins is averaging 20.7 points per game, 7 rebounds, and 3.7 assists. And last night, we saw nothing but a historic night from Wiggins, as he had a postseason career high of 27 points, adding 11 rebounds in 40 minutes. And this has been a guy that has led the team in plus minus this series with plus 66. And to make it even crazier is the fact that he's had this kind of a playoff series so far, all while taking on the challenge of guarding one of the best players in the world right now in Luka Doncic. Against Dallas, Steve Kerr is practically fully mirroring Wiggins' minutes to Doncic's because of the defensive presence that he brings to the table. And so far this series, Wiggins has spent 29 minutes and 51 seconds matching up with Doncic through 3 games. And during those minutes, this led to 134.2 partial Dallas possessions on offense, in which Luka had been guarded by Wiggins, and Dallas scored 133 points during that span. But to put that stat into perspective, this ended up being 0.99 points per possession, which is well below the league average throughout the regular season of 1.12. And then to bring his excellent 3-and-D efforts together full force, Wiggins has also been able to average 39.7% from 3 this playoffs, where on top of this, he's found his way of taking advantage of the defensive attention given to the Warriors shooters, allowing himself to find open looks, cuts to the hoop, or even give the Warriors crucial second chance opportunities on the offensive glass, as we saw him grab 6 offensive rebounds in Game 3 alone. Honestly, it's just a great story seeing Wiggins succeed like this, as prior to joining the Warriors, we all know he developed a reputation as someone who wasn't quite living up to his potential, even when the numbers looked good on the surface of his stats. But he's turned into a guy that's emerged into being a massive contributor on a team that is on the cusp of another finals, and he's truly changing the narrative that was once set on him. Moving on to the core of this group, we all know just how good Curry, Klay, and Draymond can be and have been so far this playoffs. There is no need for any of them to prove anything out there on the floor, being that this group already has shown time and time again for many years now that they know how to win, being a part of this historic franchise that has won it all multiple times. And that's why heading into the playoffs, and even before the season in particular, the biggest question surrounding this group was directed towards how good the supporting cast on this team was going to be. With Klay coming into the season still recovering from his torn Achilles, many people refused to believe that this group had the depth to compete for a championship with all of their injury history, and obviously that theory was proven to be wrong, as countless guys a part of this team had been phenomenal all season that had the Warriors holding the #1 seed in the NBA for a while. But as the season progressed, getting closer to the playoffs, the injuries started to pile up once again, and this team was starting to attract many doubters, as they inevitably fell to the 3rd seed, just 1 win higher than the Dallas Mavericks that they're going up against right now, and people didn't take them as true contenders that they were once hyped up to be this season. But now, on the brink of the NBA Finals, just 1 win away from achieving their destiny, as the stakes have risen after each round, the supporting cast surrounding the usual Warriors stars have proved themselves like no other, and have given this team not only a window of opportunity to have a great chance to win the franchise's 7th NBA title, but also will for many years to come. And the two guys next to Wiggins completing the dominance of this Warriors group this postseason are Jordan Poole and Kevon Looney. Starting with Looney, a guy that practically came out of nowhere in these last 4 games, putting up monster nights on the stat sheet. He was honestly one of the last people you would expect out of this main group to have this large of an impact on winning, and he adds another dynamic to this team in an area that has been talked about greatly as a quote-unquote hole in the lineup, with the injury of James Wiseman being the man to fill it in. But he is showing that he too can have some fun at the party and is proving his worth, reinstating himself back into the lineup in a massive way by having that monstrous night in Game 6 against the Memphis Grizzlies, where he grabbed 22 rebounds. In his last 4 games, Looney has been given the opportunity again to play big minutes in this lineup, averaging 31.2 minutes per game, which is a massive jump from his 2022 playoff averages of 19 minutes. And that number is even highly inflated by the minutes he's been getting from these last 4 games, so it just shows you how little he was playing prior to these last 4. But in his last 4, he's made the most of his opportunity, averaging 11 points per game, 12.8 rebounds, and 3.8 assists, where he shoots an outstanding 66% from the field, and he has proven to be yet another piece that fits perfectly in a role to complement the stars on this team, doing all of the little things that don't stand out on the stat sheet. However, he's finally getting the respect and recognition he deserves because of it. This recent surge even saw him help lead the comeback in Game 2 against the Mavs, as he dropped a career-high 21 points and 12 rebounds on the night, shooting 10 for 14 from the field as they erased the massive deficit coming out of the half. And then lastly, you have a guy like Jordan Poole, who capped off his rising star regular season by becoming a staple in this Warriors offense, impacting multiple wins in great fashion in his first ever playoff appearance. That gives this team that third deadly weapon offensively, attracting some of the defensive attention away from Klay and Curry. The situation this team is currently in could not be better for this group, as honestly, I think they're the favorites out of the rest of the competition in the playoffs, speaking that this series is almost already statistically over and they can already taste the NBA Finals. Don't expect the Warriors to ease off the gas pedal in Game 4 too, as this sweep would only give them boatloads of time to recover and get ready for the finals, being that the Celtics Heat series is probably going to Game 6 or 7, and this added time would allow for Gary Payton a great chance to potentially return to the lineup, and also Otto Porter, being that he looked to have tweaked his ankle or foot in last night's game, and both of these guys add on to the enormous amount of depth that they already have. The Golden State Warriors have created a monstrous lineup for any team to go up against, and have proven all playoffs long that they have everything that it takes in order to once again hoist the Larry O'Brien trophy. They have stars in all sorts of roles up and down this lineup that do so many different things, and this honestly allows for them to beat you in almost every single way out there on the floor. With that being said though, as they look so incredibly dangerous to go on and win the whole thing this year, this doesn't even take into account the fact that outside of guys like Klay, Steph, and Draymond, they already have an emerging star in Jordan Poole at just 22 years old. Wiggins is still just 27. Jonathan Kuminga, who showed flashes all year long that he's going to be an absolute problem in the NBA. James Wiseman still coming off of his injury, Moses Moody, and the list just keeps going on and on. It all leads to the fact that the Golden State Warriors have the rest of the NBA absolutely terrified for what's to come in the next couple of years.